Hello and welcome everyone to the iNetSoft 12.1 release webinar. My name is Ben Williams and I work in marketing here at iNetSoft, and with me is Katie Rousset, who is a systems engineer here at iNetSoft. So I'm going to briefly introduce what's new in version 12.1, and then Katie is going to give us a 25-minute demonstration of these new product features. We will be taking questions at the end of the webinar, so if you have any, just enter those into the GoToWebinar question panel at any time. Now, if we don't have time for your question, we will answer you privately, so don't hesitate to enter those as soon as you think of them. So one of the things we'll be going over is print options for view sheets. Now, these now go beyond a simple screen grab. You can customize individual dashboards so that you can decide which elements get printed and in what form and what size, and you can also add header and footer content with text and images. For mobile, users can now create custom layouts for mobile viewing. Our software detects what device is being used to view the dashboard, and it can load an alternate layout that's designed for that particular device. And as you'll see in the demo, these mobile layouts can be arranged very quickly and easily, so it's going to save you the time that you would otherwise have to spend on creating special dashboards just for mobile users. A couple more improvements. You'll notice in the demo that the software has a fresh look with updated buttons and layouts. Worksheets now come equipped with a new custom query builder, which offers power users a functionality that was previously only available to developers. And for developers who don't have Flash enabled in their browsers, our software now comes with a desktop version of Visual Composer as a workaround. Okay, so I'm going to turn the presentation over to Katie for our live demonstration. Once again, if you have any questions, please enter those into the GoToWebinar question panel anytime.
Thank you, Ben. So again, we are going to be going over a lot of the new features for 12.1. Not necessarily all features, especially the minor ones, are good to demonstrate all in a row. There are quite a few of them. So we're highlighting some of the major features and some of the more visible features and speaking to a lot of the other minor features. First off, I actually wanted to highlight some of what would be more upgrade notes. There have been some changes to the standard file structure, and the default application server that is packaged with the tool on installation is now Tomcat, Apache Tomcat, instead of Jetty. Don't worry about the changes from the file structure's perspective, because the upgrade instructions that are provided on the website will give you more information, and it is automated in terms of when you're doing the upgrade, so you won't have to manually shift around the files for that. Another note is that SOAP services have been extracted out of the main product jar into its own separate file, as well as the JSP tag library, which actually is being deprecated. And that really shifts our recommended embedding method fully into iframe, which has always been the more strongly recommended mode of embedding our software. There have also been some main implementation changes just geared towards enhancing the stability of the deployments that are going to upgrade to the 12.1 version. There have been some enhancements to Enterprise Manager and some CSS enhancements as well, including a full robust implementation of CSS customization throughout dashboards. There have been a couple other features that have been deprecated. In terms of the KPI viewing, we have found that gauges and text have been the primary usage throughout the tool. So thermometers, cylinders, and sliding scale views have been removed as an option of what can be added. the existing thermometers, cylinders, and sliding scale elements will still persist on the dashboard, so don't expect like them to vanish from your dashboard. That won't happen. But going forward, we have a whole new look and feel to those gauges, and that will be the main way of viewing a single aggregate value going forward. There have also just been some general changes, as Ben mentioned, to the overall look and feel of some of the major icons that are used throughout the tool. Now, in this example that focuses on some 12.1 features for dashboard from a visual perspective, the main thing that's seen here is in the chart. There have been some enhancements to changing the background colors of the chart area, so that way it can be a very quick change that originally you had to look into scripting into place. And the main enhancement to charts going forward is the addition of projection with trend lines. Trend lines as a whole have had multiple requests for being able to project in terms of X many terms into the future. And so you can set that up whether you need to go 2, 3, 5, 6. It will follow the progression of that trend line that you've added out that many periods. So it's going to provide a better analysis capabilities that was actually customer driven in terms of this request. So we were very happy to implement such a wide usage request for our customers. Now, dashboards are also going to support alternate layouts. Now, the alternate layouts are going to be actually the major feature of this edition, and they cover not only for device rendering, but also for printing. Now, our printing is based off of the PDF generation, and in the normal sense, you would get the snapshot of the dashboard at the time it was exported. Sometimes with certain larger dashboards, you found that everything was shrunk down to that particular page size, and it was not necessarily easily legible. And so for that, there have been enhancements to providing alternate layouts that also affect the print ability of the dashboard. So this dashboard, now in its print or PDF export format, is a multi-page report. We have the ability to add additional text and image elements into header and footer. It does support our standard document for generated on and page numbering that is tied into text elements within our reporting module. So those have been added in, and you can see that my dashboard, I've now designed the layout so that way I'm getting the components in a readable fashion, and my tables will expand over multiple pages. So I'm getting a 6-page printable output from my interactive dashboard. Now, this does need to be enabled on a case-by-case basis, because we don't want to have any assumptions with an algorithm to place it into that paginated output. So for your chosen dashboards, you can go in and configure alternate layouts. Now, the alternate layouts, you can have as many or as few for each dashboard as you prefer. You are able to add in new layouts, choose for specific devices, or for the print layout, you are able to set up the page size and all of the standard document formats, header, footer size, print margins, and so on. That process is then a drag and drop process where you're able to arrange the existing elements, choosing to include or exclude certain elements as desired to give that alternate layout. Now, with our device detection, we also provide alternate layouts for mobile devices. We have pre-assigned sizing guidelines for the standard phone and tablet sizes. You can enable one layout for multiple devices. If a device does not have a layout specifically set for it, it will still render as the full computer view, the default master view. This view, you can very easily decide and actually choose a small amount of elements and make it just fit within the screen, have less elements on the dashboard. Or you can choose to design it that way if you were to, say, swipe sideways or up and down to make more of a tiled view out of your dashboard for easy mobile viewing. There are also options to set up scale to screen within these templates and also have it increase fonts globally on the dashboard by a certain multiplier. And so in that instance, you enable it for a particular layout. And so you can have certain layouts with the increased font size and certain layouts without the increased font size. So we're really excited about this functionality because it is going to provide such a vast usage across the dashboards and bringing them more into full supported exporting and mobile support. Now, from a dashboard perspective, designing in the Visual Composer, designing in the worksheet, there have been some enhancements. As I mentioned, there's now a vast amount of CSS support. We've done a very large overhaul on that to provide that functionality. There are also enhancements for dates. We've had a large volume of requests for those that have Monday as their first day of the week. This is going to be detected by locale of the system, that if it is in one of those regions where that would be the standard, it's going to be able to switch up how it treats the weeks in groupings to reflect that. So it's going to be more internationally standardized for what the region needs. And at a glance, you're able to see elements that have script on them. We've put in this indicator because many find that diagnosing issues with scripting has become challenging when you have scripting on multiple elements and you run into an issue. It's like, oh, which element was that? I don't even remember if this one had script on it. We've given a simple indicator that's not visible when consuming the dashboard as an end user. It's only there when you're in the designing, so that way you can very easily see and act upon any scripting that you're looking to update. And you'll notice the different icons as we're going through and we're interacting with the Visual Composer, that there have been changes to all the icons to give them a more updated and modernized look and feel to them. Now, all the dashboard design mechanics are still the same with the drag and drop. There is also another little enhancement to the chart designing that is what we would say was potentially a deficiency. It was more of just a minor enhancement to actually be able to work off of our custom shapes that we had originally that were only available in blue can now be set based off of the color picker and can actually be tied into that. That way you can have a full control over the visual presenters when working with these stars presenter point visuals. Now, as you're designing out a dashboard and you're building it, the question comes into really what is it like to plan an alternate layout? The answer is that it's that very simple step where you want to create a new layout. You can choose maybe one device, 2, 3. Do you want it landscape or not? Do you want to have it scale the font sizes for you? These all become questions that you should answer as you're going into this process. From there, you pick and choose what elements you want to include. Now, I can include just the chart. As I mentioned earlier, I can pick and choose what I include, or I can also include all the elements. I can look into actually stretching them out a little bit, and it will give you those same common indicators that you get for alignment. And so you can go through the process of actually creating unique layouts. The reason why we have gone with this kind of option where you're explicitly setting up the layout is because we recognize that certain elements may be coupled together. You may want to keep them together explicitly or globally not include them. So instead of trying to assume a certain way of rearranging a dashboard, we want to give the power to those who are designing the dashboard to be able to have that explicit layout. Now, the major enhancements to worksheets that Ben mentioned at the start of this is to be able to actually generate a database query here on the worksheet layer. So we have a quick access button, but we're able to go to a new object just like an embedded table and instead go into creating a database query. So it's going to list out the databases you have available. It's going to allow you to pick and choose the fields that you are looking to work with. You still have that drag and drop mechanics to it. A simple interface for defining the joins between, applying conditions, and you can see it generate a SQL for you. From there going forward, it does actually offer you the ability to edit that. And it creates a special data block with a simple symbol to represent that it's a SQL query that you can now drag and drop and join to other already existing queries. Or to data models, final worksheet data blocks. It is going to work seamlessly with all of the mashup, manipulation, and transformation that can be done in our data worksheet. In Style Studio, there have been some minor enhancements. There are options from a security perspective for multi-tenancy for denying access to unassigned users instead of having it automatically just set them to the default connection. So this is going to prevent users who do not have explicit connection privileges from obtaining any data from that data definition. Now, there is also some enhancements that have been made into scheduling. Scheduling as a whole is remaining consistent with the functionality that it's had, but we have made a minor change in the saving to disk being relabeled as save to server because that's more descriptive. But the main enhancement that actually goes with that is that it now supports FTP URLs for more specifics on that syntax and all the features that we're discussing here. I would definitely suggest that you reference our documentation and also our released feature list that we're providing. And with the scheduling and the delivering actions supporting the HTML message content within the message body selected, you're able to have enhancements to that as well. But that's just a minor feature that's been added into the scheduler. And as I mentioned at the start, there are some different minor enhancements that really are not worth going over the specifics of exactly where they are, how they are, and it's going to be for everyone who is upgrading an experience to, as I said, follow the upgrade instructions that are provided on the website. That way you feel secure in doing this upgrade. All of the enhancements are going to provide a better experience for you. And as I said, there are some features being deprecated. They are mentioned in the feature list for the release notes. And feel free to express any concerns with that we can certainly address for you. And as a final note for the movement of the product, going forward, we are continuing enhancement to HTML5 support throughout the product. There, of course, has been work to make that more robust in 12.1, but going forward, there will be more changes to bring the product into full HTML5 within the browser. And of course, for many of those who are familiar with dashboard design and the Visual Composer, know that moving that away from Flash is a big change. If you are a developer and you find that you run into issues with browser support and our current Visual Composer, we are also including in development installations a desktop Visual Composer to allow for browser-free use of the Visual Composer in the interim while we continue to make this large migration to HTML5. It will be accessed from the Start menu when installed, and it is a full Visual Composer. All the drag and drop design based off of security against the server, and will have all the functionality of Visual Composer. It just will not require the Flash supporting browser of, Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, and others. So you don't have to worry about having a restriction on that, because you'll be able to leverage that desktop Visual Composer as we make the move to HTML5. And I guess that just leaves us with going to questions. So please make sure you provide us with any questions so we can ensure that everyone feels comfortable being able to upgrade to 12.1 and to have that confidence. So I believe I'm just going to turn it over to Ben, who is going to direct with questions about some of the things that we've gone over in the webinar.
Well, thank you, Katie. Okay, we have quite a few questions here. I think we have time for a few. So I think you just cleared this up a few minutes ago, but just to make sure some people are clear, since a lot of people earlier were asking, is 12.1 still using Flash? Is it all HTML5? So I guess we should just clarify that, yeah, the current version is still Flash. I have a viewer here asking, can you generate this SQL instead of using the helper?
Yes, because it does allow for modifying the SQL, it also allows for putting in your SQL. It would be very similar to using the query wizard. It's just a little bit different in terms of the interface. But it's that same concept of being able to do that and then have that data block represent your query result set and use that going forward in the worksheet.
All right. I have another user here asking, can you fill an object with color based on percentage?
All right. When you're saying fill an object with color based off of percentage, something that you'll actually see in this Q&A view that we have right here, we have that point chart. That point chart has stuff being sized based off of value. But if you actually set it to the shape based off of value, it'll actually create a fill effect bubble that will slowly fill it up based off of where it is in that linear scale. I hope that does answer your question. But if you're looking for specific steps or a reference to the documentation, that seems like a simple question that you could even pose to the support channel or to our forums.
Okay. I have another viewer asking, how do you handle sorting in generating a PDF? I take it from a dashboard, he or she means.
So from the PDF generation, it will be geared towards what the view of the dashboard is in terms of data. So if the dashboard does have filtering components, whether you do or do not actually include them in the print view, that PDF generation view, they will still have affected the values there. So the content of that will be driven by what data is visible on the dashboard at the time it is exported. So if you are scheduling it and you're setting it up to do that PDF generation, when you have that print layout, it would all be geared towards, say, the bookmark that you're using that could remember your preferred filters in that instance. So the sorting would be based off of what you see when you're actually looking at the dashboard, but instead of having the scrolling and the restriction to the particular window, where when you get a snapshot you were only able to see so many rows, this way you're going to get the full multi-page expansion for that.
Okay, another viewer asked, if users want to continue using thermometers and sliders, will they be able to copy or paste the existing ones?
As of right now, I would say that it will let you. However, given the deprecation nature of that, it is for 12.1 that it will still allow those elements to function, but in the process of a deprecated feature, it is not suggested that you continue to rely on it, because the support will not be indefinitely maintained. And if you're really concerned about the removal of those modules, we can certainly see about taking up those concerns with the product team. It is my understanding that it was based off of information of the lack of diverse usage, and that to continue to attempt to modernize looks of all of the different views of all the different output elements, when the majority of users utilize gauges and text elements, that it was thought that it would be best as a whole for the product going forward to have that simplified view.
Okay, I have, someone else is asking, how would one generate an ad hoc report in a dashboard with a parameter sheet?
So the dashboard print layout is not an ad hoc paginated report. It is still an interactive dashboard, and so all of the data for it is geared towards the interactive standard elements on the dashboard. You can certainly use input elements and selection filter elements to allow the user to pick and choose different filters, or the default prompting that the dashboards do support for having inputs to parameterize values, but it will not, as of now, support any form of parameter sheet. It is just a paginated print output of the dashboard elements, and that includes, if you include selection lists and so on, they will be converted into text lists of which elements are actually selected on them.
Okay, the same user is asking, can you create a paginated report in a dashboard?
So again, it's not going to create a report from the dashboard. It's just going to provide the paginated print layout in this version. There have been discussions about enhancements moving forward for either a form of implementing ad hoc reporting in HTML5 or to enhance this paginated print layout further in terms of official design docs releases for future versions past 12.1. We do not have anything to officially announce at this time. So really what it is it's providing print layout capabilities for the dashboards, but it is not a full reporting replacement tool at this time.
Of course, if they're style intelligence users, then they can link their reports in their dashboard still.
Yes,
right.
You can absolutely still have the report support and the hyperlinks from dashboards to paginated reports that are created within Style Studio. It's still going to be fully supported.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question. Do the dashboards now have responsive design when user asked?
Oh, yes. So when I was talking about the alternate layouts and I mentioned that we didn't want to have a certain algorithm determining that. That would be what a responsive layout is, where it attempts to automatically shift things to align it to a specific logic. But given the nature and the sensitivity of dashboard layouts in general, where people may have specifically paired up elements in the layout without explicitly linking them together, that we wouldn't want to have it affect the nature of the dashboard or miscommunicate data because things are not aligned as desired. And that is why we have you set up the explicit layout, so it would not be considered responsive design, that it's a specific enabled layout for individual devices. And as I mentioned, those that are not chosen for any of those alternate layouts will still use the default viewing, where you would have the panning and potential scrolling in the nature of the dashboard.
Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions we have time for. We do have some more pending, but we will answer you privately. Thank you, Katie, and thank you, everyone, for attending this webinar. Everyone have a great day.